In the last lesson, we examined the 6 most common types of reading comprehension questions. Now that we know the types of questions asked, we can build a general strategy that addresses these question types. Let's begin with an overview of the strategy, and then we'll examine each step on its own. The first step in the strategy is to read the initial question that accompanies the passage. Then, read the passage at a comfortable speed. As you do this, be sure to fully engage in most of the material. At the same time, summarize each paragraph on your noteboard, and identify the main idea of the passage on your noteboard as well. Finally, once you've finished reading the passage and taking notes, answer each question by identifying the best answer while eliminating incorrect answer choices. At this point, I want to be clear that there is no one strategy that is the best strategy for everyone. I should also mention that there are a lot of different theories out there regarding the best way to tackle reading comprehension questions. Some tell students to first skim the passage, some advocate reading the passage several times, and some suggest that it's not even necessary to read the entire passage. While some may claim that theirs is the best strategy, I believe that the strategy that works best for you will depend on a wide range of factors. This happens to be the strategy that I recommend to my students, and I think it addresses all the important aspects of reading comprehension questions. However, once you've reviewed and tried my strategy, I encourage you to experiment with other strategies to find the one that works best for you. Okay, before we examine each of these steps individually, I want to talk a little about timing. As you will see, my strategy encourages students to invest their time in carefully reading the passage. So, for short passages, I suggest that you spend about 2.5 minutes reading the passage and taking notes, and then spend about 3 minutes answering the 3 questions related to the passage. For long passages, I suggest you spend about 3.5 minutes reading the passage and taking notes, and then about 4 minutes answering the 4 questions. Now let's examine each step in greater detail. The first step is to read the initial question that accompanies the passage. Knowing the question will help focus your reading. Now, if you're lucky, the first question will be a details question that asks you to identify a specific piece of information in the passage. For example, if the question asked you to identify the reason for Dr. Green's decision to build his observatory in Iceland, then you could watch out for this information as you read the passage. I should mention that although it's beneficial to read the first question that appears in the passage, I do not recommend reading the answer choices before reading the passage. Just read the question and then move on to reading the passage. Step 2 in the general strategy is to read the passage at a comfortable speed. Our goal with reading comprehension questions is to read the passage once and then return to the passage only if we're given a details question and we don't remember the specific information involved. As I mentioned earlier, you should give yourself about 2.5 minutes to read a short passage and about 3.5 minutes to read a long passage. It's very important that you convince yourself that these recommended times are sufficient to read a passage. So try reading some passages at a relaxed speed and confirm that it is possible to read the passages with these recommended times. If you don't do this, you will inevitably read faster than is comfortable, and as a result, your comprehension will suffer. Remember that there's no use reading quickly if you lose comprehension in the process. In summary, we've examined the first 2 steps of the general strategy. Since the next 4 steps include several components, I'll devote an entire lesson to each one. In the next lesson, we'll look at ways to engage in the passage while selectively ignoring certain types of information.